Child miners deep underground, West Virginia, 1908. Their lungs filled with coal dust before adulthood. Prisoners tied before a firing squad, Russia, 1937. Many were accused without trial. Women chained in public for protesting, London, 1913. Suffragettes risked everything for the vote. Soldiers lying dead in muddy trenches, France, 1916. The battlefield reeked of death for weeks. Children forced to stitch garments in dark sweatshops, New York, 1910. Their eyesight was permanently damaged. Public execution by hanging, Germany, 1945. Crowds gathered in silence to witness the final moment. Families waiting at soup kitchens during the Great Depression, USA, 1931. Many went days without food. Soldiers wearing primitive gas masks, World War I, 1915. Protection was often useless against poison gas. Political prisoners packed into cattle trains, Soviet Union, 1932. Many never reached their destination alive. Children picking cotton under scorching sun, Alabama, 1911. Education was sacrificed for survival. Bodies piled after a brutal battle, Stalingrad, 1942. Death became a daily sight for civilians. Orphans huddled in ruins after bombings, Germany, 1945. Many had no families left. Public guillotine execution in France, 1890s. Blood soaked the wooden platform. Women sewing uniforms through the night, USA, 1917. Exhaustion and injury were part of the job. Refugees fleeing with carts, Warsaw, 1944. Families carried only what they could hold. Child chimney sweeps in England, 1880s. Many suffocated in narrow shafts. Prisoner forced to dig frozen earth in Siberia, 1938. Endless labor meant slow death. Doctors performing surgery on a battlefield, Civil War, 1863. Amputations were done without anesthesia. Children barefoot in snow after war, Eastern Europe, 1945. Many froze to death before help arrived. Mass graves filled after epidemics, Spain, 1918. The influenza pandemic claimed millions. Child beggars sleeping on cold streets, London, 1905. Hunger forced them into crime. Soldiers frozen in trenches, Eastern Front, 1942. Frostbite claimed more lives than bullets. Prisoners marched in chains through town, Georgia, 1910. Chain gangs were used for hard labor. Women jailed for demanding equal pay, USA, 1912. Silence was forced through punishment. Dead horses lying beside soldiers, World War I, 1917. The smell of rot filled the air. Children working barefoot in glass factories, Pennsylvania, 1908. Broken glass cut their feet daily. Public execution in a village square, China, 1920s. Entire communities were forced to watch. Families evicted during the Depression, 1933. Belongings piled on wagons in the streets. Soldiers carrying their dead comrades, Normandy, 1944. Bodies covered the beaches. Child laborers hauling buckets of water in mines, Kentucky, 1911. Their small bodies carried adult burdens. Villagers hiding from invaders in ruins, Poland, 1939. Fear spread faster than the army. Women working with TNT in munitions factories, Britain, 1915. Yellow skin disease slowly killed them. Refugees crowded into trains, Eastern Europe, 1945. Many died during the journey. Child workers carrying bricks, India, 1920s, their spines bent under the load. Soldiers buried in collapsed trenches, France, 1916. Rescue often came too late. Prisoners awaiting execution in the cold, Russia, 1937. Silence filled the air before gunfire. Children with hollow eyes waiting at orphanages, New York, 1912. Disease spread rapidly among them. Doctors operating in muddy tents, Civil War, 1864. Infection killed more than bullets. Women beaten during protests for suffrage, London, 1910. Blood stained the cobblestones. Mass graves filled after bombing raids, Germany, 1945. Families searched desperately for loved ones. Starving children lined up for food rations, Soviet Union, 1921. Many collapsed before eating. Soldiers carrying wounded on wooden carts, World War I, 1915. Blood dripped onto the mud. Orphans huddled in bomb shelters, London Blitz, 1940. Their tiny hands covered trembling ears. Children forced to polish shoes on streets, New York, 1910. Pennies decided if they would eat. Villagers fleeing burning homes, Eastern Front, 1943. Smoke followed them into the night. Prisoners crammed into filthy cells, France, 1890s. Rats crawled freely among them. Child coal pickers covered in soot, Pennsylvania, 1905. They never saw daylight. Women carrying dead infants after famine, China, 1928. Hope was buried with them. Soldiers blinded by gas, France, 1918. They walked in chains guided by one man's hand. Crowds watching hangings in the town square, USA, 1901. Execution was treated as entertainment. Prisoners digging their own graves, Eastern Europe, 1942. Shovels trembled in their hands. Workers covered in toxic chemicals, matchstick factories, 1910. Faces melted from phossy jaw. Entire families evicted during Great Depression, 1932. Babies slept under bridges. Soldiers trapped under collapsed bunkers, World War II, 1943. Screams echoed underground. Child chimney sweeps covered in soot, London, 1890s. Many suffocated inside narrow flues. Captured rebels tied to posts executed by firing squad, Mexico, 1915. Dust rose with every bullet. Women in asylums bound to chairs, USA, 1920. Treatment was pure torment. Starving prisoners reaching for bread, concentration camp, 1944. Skeletons in human form. Children chained together while working in fields, USA, 1908. Escape was impossible. Soldiers frozen solid in the snow, Eastern Front, 1943. Entire regiments disappeared in the ice. Women forced to clean streets after bombings, Germany, 1945. Broken glass cut their hands. Prisoners kneeling before executioners, Soviet Union, 1938. Silence fell before the gunshots. Child workers balancing bricks on their heads, India, 1920s. Their necks bent before adulthood. Families starving in famine, Ukraine, 1932. Mothers wept over lifeless children. Soldiers pulling comrades from muddy trenches, France, 1917. Many suffocated in the sludge. Women beaten during protests for equal rights, New York, 1912. Blood stained their dresses. Refugees packed onto overcrowded boats, Mediterranean, 1940s. Many never reached shore. Children forced to sell coal on the streets, Pittsburgh, 1906. Black dust clung to their skin. Prisoners locked in wooden stocks, Europe, 1890s. Crowds mocked their suffering. Soldiers burned alive inside tanks, World War II, 1943. Steel coffins left no escape. Orphans eating scraps from garbage, Chicago, 1911. Rats were their only companions. Public lynching in Town Square, USA, 1920s. Hundreds gathered in celebration. Children carrying water buckets heavier than themselves, Africa, 1930s. Many collapsed from exhaustion. Prisoners of war paraded through streets, Berlin, 1942. Humiliation was part of victory. Women sewing by candlelight in cramped rooms, London, 1904. Fingers bled onto the fabric. Soldiers blinded by explosions, World War I, 1917. Bandages hid their empty eyes. Refugees trapped between barbed wire fences, Europe, 1944. Children cried for water. Mass funerals after deadly epidemics, Italy, 1918. Coffins lined the streets. Children sleeping on factory floors, USA, 1912. Machines roared around their tiny bodies. Soldiers hanging onto destroyed bridges, World War II, 1944. Many fell into the river below. Prisoners lined up with numbers on their chests, Soviet Union, 1936. Their fate was already sealed. Women locked in iron cages for protesting, England, 1910. Their screams echoed in the square. Child miners with canaries in cages, Pennsylvania, 1907. Birds died first, then the children. Public execution by sword, Middle East, 1920s. Crowds gasped as blood hit the ground. Families walking railroad tracks after eviction, USA, 1933. They carried everything they owned on their backs. Soldiers digging shallow graves for comrades, France, 1916. Rain washed away the markers. Children covered in ash after bombings, Japan, 1945. Their eyes stared blankly at the sky. Prisoners whipped in open fields, USA South, 1900s. Blood dripped onto the soil. Refugees carrying old parents on carts, Eastern Europe, 1944. The journey ended for many on the road. Women working 18 hours in textile mills, New York, 1911. Fingers were crushed in machines. Soldiers lying frozen on mountain passes, Italy, 1917. Nature killed faster than bullets. Children with hollow eyes in famine camps, India, 1943. Millions starved silently. Captured rebels tied to wooden stakes, Mexico, 1912. Bullets tore through their bodies. Prisoners packed in rail cars without air, Germany, 1944. Many suffocated before arrival. Women collapsing from exhaustion in munitions plants, Britain, 1916. Their bodies were replaced within hours. Orphans clutching each other after fire, Chicago, 1908. Their parents never returned. Mass graves filled under moonlight, Eastern Europe, 1942. Shovels worked until dawn.